I'd like to thank the Process Art Discovery audience for joining me today. I'm Lynda Norman. I'm a watercolor artist in the beautiful province of British Columbia. Today, I'm introducing to the world my new little palette that I designed. As most of you know, if you've been following along, I like to paint with large brushes, and I like to use lots of nice, juicy, ready-to-go paints, typically my Daniel Smith paints that come in the tube. And I've been using some palettes recently that I found accommodated my large brush, but I found that with the amount of water that I use, because I paint a lot, they just weren't holding up. They were starting to break down and fall apart a little bit. That got me thinking about maybe I could come up with something on my own. And when I did my workshop, a 3-day workshop back in the fall, one of the participants was talking about a fellow that did 3D printing. So I sat down, I drew up a design, and I sent the drawing off to him, and lo and behold, we have a little palette that is 3D printed, lightweight. It's light as a feather, great for traveling. I'm going to use it in my studio as well on a daily basis. I've designed the wells to be wide enough to accommodate you know, even my larger brushes. Here, I just got these brushes, we'll test those out. But lots of room to dip in and get the paint. Even these side wells for the secondary colors or the accent colors will accommodate a big brush, if need be. 2 beautiful little mixing wells on the side, actually large mixing wells comparatively. And he's included these little magnet closures, so hold your ears. It stays closed. It's got a really secure little device with the magnets on the side. I'm so excited. They're just, I don't know, something that I am just excited about. We've got a few on hand. We're getting more made as we speak. With these palettes, I've discovered through some research that at the current time, they'll be available to Canadian purchasers only, just due to a lot of things that are involved in shipping outside of Canada at the moment. So to my Canadian followers, you can go to my website, bandrystudio.com, under the shop tab, and you'll find them there, and I'd be happy to send you one. But today, other than just telling you about them, I thought I'd show you how I fill my palettes. A lot of people aren't familiar with painting with tube paint and how that works out. And if you paint with paints that come in pans already, then this process is already done for you. However, most of those pans are either the full pan or the half pan, so not really built to accommodate your larger brushes. So I'm just going to show you the one I use on a daily basis right now. It has my absolute favorite colors, and that's another thing. One of the reasons I designed it to be this small is that it's easy to carry around. You can travel with it, but I'm finding the more I paint, the less colors I need to incorporate. When I first started painting, oh my gosh, I watched all kinds of YouTube videos, I listened to other artists, and every time they mentioned a color, I knew I had to have it. So I'd save up and I'd go and get that color, and ended up with a lot of tubes of paint. Honestly, 7 is probably the maximum I would ever use in a painting. Usually my standard 3 or 4 is all that I use. So in this palette that I use on a daily basis, I have Mayan Dark Blue, which is a beautiful Daniel Smith color, granulating and deep and rich and just beautiful, plays well with water. And all of these paints wake up nicely. Once they're in the palette, you can let them dry for as long as you want to between paintings. And just a spray mist wakes them up. Sometimes it's you need a couple of sprays to get them really to the point where they're juicy enough to work with. But my Mayan Dark Blue, standard in almost every painting I do at some point. I've added ultramarine blue. Ultramarine is a beautiful granulating pigment as well, and it's a color that if you mix it with your yellows or your other colors, your reds, for example, there's just the whole array of tones and shades that you can get that really are suitable for any kind of painting, landscapes, florals, anything like that. Third one down is the undersea green, and a color again that I mean, you can mix your greens with your blues and your yellows, but the undersea green has that deep, rich pigmentation, and it's a color that, again, one of the ones that I use almost in every painting. Then my quinacridone gold, stunning color, does magic on the page, granulating, just has a whole life of its own. So those are my four main colors. On the side, I have quinacridone rose. Blends really beautifully with the quinacridone gold to create those beautiful oranges and things that you want for sunsets and highlights on things. Also mixes well with both the ultramarine blue and the Mayan dark blue to create various shades of gorgeous purple hues. And also on its own, it's just a gorgeous color. It complements the others in this palette here. And then I'll jump to the top. This is a raw sienna, burnt sienna, and again, it's just another tone, another deeper, rich tone that just adds when mixing with the other colors. Sometimes for little shades under clouds, mixed with the ultramarine blue, beautiful effects. And in the middle, I put something that is probably not typically something a lot of watercolor painters use, but I do tend to like it for certain elements of a painting, and it's buff titanium. It's an opaque watercolor, so quite different from the transparent ones, but I do find that it's really really beneficial to have that. It gives you muted tones. If you mix it with your other colors, you get more of almost a chalky, soft, pastel-y look. And so that does come in handy often as well. So those are my main colors. Now that I've got my palettes here and on hand, I'm going to start filling a couple of them just to have some of the other colors that I would like to play a little more with and experiment more with. And I thought, just for those of you who have never worked with an empty palette before and filling with tubes, I would just give you a quick indication of how that comes together and how easily that does work. I should mention that this one I did add a little bit of a Payne's Gray. I just wanted to experiment with something. It does clean up nicely, just with water and a paper towel, tidying up the edges if you get some spill. This, because of the nature of the filament and the 3D printing, it had sort of an abrasion mark here. So it did pick up a little bit of the color that I was mixing here, but it's not going to add color to any other mixes that I've got. And also I found that to clean anything up, some of your colors are a little bit on the staining side, if you use these magic erasers and just wet them, you can get into those corners and clean up if that's a concern to you. You've probably seen me mention before that I use a lot of palette dirt, I call it, and it's just paint that's been sitting in my palette that is a combination of the colors in the palette, so I don't hesitate to use that when I'm painting because the colors sort of will all be of the same family that I've used in the painting, so that's not a concern for me. So yeah, here I'll put that aside. I thought with this one, I really am interested in exploring more with my granulating paints. I talk about them a lot, and I use the granulating paints in every situation at some level. And lately I've been exploring more. I think you may have seen some recent videos where let the paint flow in the water and watch the granulation happen and playing with the amount of water. So I've got a couple of paints here that I'm going to just put into the palette. I'm waiting for a lunar black, which I will add. It's hard to find for some reason at the moment. Could be due to painters like Nicholas Lopez, who does magical things with his lunar blacks and deeper colors. Very inspiring if you get a chance to check him out too. always always a fun thing to do. But I've got here Sodalite Genuine, Sugalite Genuine, and Lunar Blue. So I'm going to put these three in. The Sodalite Genuine is almost a black. It's very, very dark. The Sugalite is more of a bluey purple cast to it. I might even at some point, when I replace my stock, put in a little bit of moon glow on one of the sides here. So let me just show you how this comes together. I'm going to start with, I think the darkest one, which looks to me like the Sodalite Genuine. And the Daniel Smith paints, oh, I should mention also, when I talked about my Mayan Dark Blue, sorry, I'm all over the place here today. The Mayan Dark Blue, I've had students go to some stores and they were convinced or talked into buying the Mayan Blue Genuine. Two totally different colors. The Mayan Dark Blue is very deep and dark and rich, and the Mayan Blue Genuine is actually more of a lighter, almost a greeny teal cast to it. So keep that in mind. If you're looking for the rich dark Mayan Dark Blue, that's what you need to ask for. So these tubes are beautiful and luscious, and this is how I like to fill my palettes. I'm going to fill the well about probably 3/4 of the way to the top. And that will settle down a little bit. You can always take a little stick or something and use that to smooth the edges, fill in the corners so that your palette is nice and full. I wouldn't fill it right to the very top, just so that when you do spray with your water, it's not overflowing into the edge. I've designed it so that there's a little bit of a space in between, and so that will keep the colors, the pigments, from running into each other. And as I say, these can sit in the palette until you're ready to re-wake them and work with them again. Often, some painters who do like to do a lot of the granulation work will go straight from the tube. I'm going to stick with my palette and wet it and wake the paint up that way. I just find I don't waste quite as much in doing that. So that is the Sodalite Genuine. Now we'll do the Sugalite, Sugalite. Interesting name. I should research that more and find out how these names come about. Whoops. And we'll just get it everywhere. It does have a an interesting mauvey tone. The Daniel Smith Genuine paints are formulated with real minerals in their pigmentation, and that shows in the granulation and how they go onto the page. Now this has, because of the rich mineral pigmentation that in it, it's thick and it's like toothpaste. It's very interesting how that comes out. And as with many granulating paints, the reason they granulate is because the pigmentation, the pigments in them, the granules are heavier. And often they're a combination of several pigments, and some heavier than others, so some settle faster than others in the water that you mix them with or apply them to, or the water you add to the paint even. So these are, and you can sense that it feels very rich and organic, just tapping it into the corners a little bit. Once that dries, and I've gone after it a few times with my paintbrush, it will smooth down and won't look as lumpy and bumpy on the surface. So I'll just wipe that off. And that is, it's a beautiful, oh gosh, lilac-y almost. will be, I think it will be beautiful for highlighting. If you notice a lot of the paintings that have granulation in them, there's various levels of pigmentation and color, and it's very beautiful. And I think the last one I'm just going to pop in here is the lunar blue. I know that's going to come in handy. And then when my lunar black arrives, I will put that in this end as well. So it's here we go. It's a very rich, dark, beautiful blue color. I hope this tube has enough left in it to fill the palette. We'll see. We'll just get that out of there. Yeah. There we go. And we'll let that settle. This one is a little more fluid, liquid than the Sugilite. But, in an upcoming video, we'll test these out. I think I'd like to let them dry in the palette for a few days, and then we'll reawaken them as we normally do with a spray bottle. But I'm just going to... it's interesting, just observing the density and viscosity of each color and how different they are. This is a little more liquid. It's settling into its own. It's almost self-leveling, whereas the Sodalite Genuine at the beginning was a little heavier, so it's denser pigmented, I would say. And I don't know about you, but I am so excited to give these a test run. And I'm going to research and see what other colors might be highly granulating. I may find something as I'm testing my other colors. I've got some schminky super granulating colors here. I'll test them out on swatches and see which ones appeal to me and the way I think I want to paint, and then I might add a few of these into my palette as well. So I think from now, these are the palettes that I will work with. Maybe in the spring, when I'm inspired to paint florals, I might even bust open another palette and add, some pinks and some brighter greens and different things in there as I change direction perhaps a little bit. But for now, these are the palettes that I'm sticking with. I love them. I love that they're compact. I can use them in my studio and take them traveling if I wish to. As many of you know, I sometimes paint with credit cards and with small tabs, plastic tabs for doing certain marks and birch trees and things. These allow me to fit this straight into my palette as well, so I don't need a separate device for that. So I do hope that you enjoyed watching how the paints fill into a palette and understanding that a bit more. A lot of people, as I say, who don't paint with tubes have never experienced that. So I hope this has been helpful for you to see how that comes together. I hope that you get a chance to try one of these little palettes out, and if you do, I'd love to know how you appreciate them, especially if you're a painter who's on the go. As I said, you can check them out on my website, bandrystudio.com. I'd like to thank the Process Art Discovery audience for joining me today. Spend a bit of time reviewing my new palette. I'm very excited. If you like what you've seen, please subscribe to the channel or head on over to their members area.